Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping the week's nerdy news from
not the
going
nerds,
to
not the nerds weekly
not
news.
the nerds, not the nerds wiki news. The week's nerdy news from going to Honduras to not going to Honduras and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson. With me always is Steve Haller, who is not in Honduras.
I am not in Honduras,
previously
folks.
expected. What's up, Steve?
Oh, nothing much. So this was supposed to be an off week for everybody. Mike was probably going to do a little one-shot type thing, but alas, I'm here because of global IT outages. My flight got canceled on Saturday morning, so I'm not flying out till Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I get to be with all your lovely faces and talk about some nerdy things instead of scuba diving with various aquatic animals and having fun.
Yeah.
I realized I said that like I'm implying I'm not having fun right now. I just, I would be having more fun if I was underwater.
Sure. Yeah. Has anybody ever podcasted from underwater before?
Somebody probably has. Maybe I should. Yeah, maybe I'll record something underwater and.
There's some like podcasts about scuba diving where they've tried to record an episode
I'm sure.
underwater or something. Yeah.
Thing I learned a couple months ago: Bluetooth doesn't work underwater. It makes sense, like when you think about it.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Because I had gotten back into like lap swimming. It's like I wonder if I can get something to like listen to. Oh no, I can't. Okay, cool.
No.
Like you have to buy specific earphones.
Sure.
Like the bone conductive ones.
Yes.
That have like a small hard drive on them and load it on like it's back in 2003, like the old
like an iPod.
Yeah, like I had an old Creative Nomad that was like a little USB drive that I'd plug in and I would put files on it and then I would plug it back into the thing and I could listen to that.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that didn't work out for you.
Yeah. It's all good.
But maybe podcasting underwater will work out for us. Stay tuned, Multiverse Report listeners. You never know. Next week, Steve may be underwater interviewing a fish.
Yeah, I could. Hypothetically, I could. We don't know the future here. So
I almost said Aquaman, which would have made more sense for this podcast. But
yes.
I decided to go with a fish.
I mean, I would probably need him or Namor as a translator.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. You'll interview the fish, but they'll just translate. Yeah, exactly.
I can just, Jason Momoa is just next to me translating to the fish. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's normal.
He says he has no idea what you're talking about because he's a fish and he's frightened of you.
Yeah, and then he just swims away. And that's that. There's the whole interview.
Yeah. End of episode.
Yeah.
No, next week Steve probably will not be underwater. He may not be with us at all. He'll be in Honduras, which means that I may be flying solo for our coverage of the one and only San Diego Comic-Con, which will be happening next week.
Which we did specify. This is not the first time this has happened.
Yeah, we were talking right before we went on the air here, and I believe that the first time I ever had to do a few and far between, I've done solo audio-only ones because I don't have access to the whole video live streaming rigmarole that Steve does. But I believe the first time I had to do that was because Steve was gone on San Diego Comic-Con weekend, so I had to do some coverage there. So getting back to our roots with some Comic-Con coverage next week, me flying solo. So check out your podcaster feeds for that. This podcast, sponsored by Funky Town Comics and Vinyl in Camillus. They had a huge drop of new comics and new vinyl over the weekend. I was unable to get there. Steve, were you able to get down?
No, I was not.
No.
I was
you were trying to get to Honduras still.
Yeah, I was still trying to get to Honduras. I was very excited that there was a chance I could get there, and then we realized that I had to drive to Albany for my niece's birthday party. So, alas, at no point, and then what did we do today? A lot of things that weren't getting down to Funky Town, much to my chagrin. Same. I was for any of the keys that I actually wanted to grab because they had that drop I had seen ahead of time. I was talking with Jeff when I was down there, and one of the boxes was out, and I'm flipping through it, and it was an ASM 252, and Secret Wars 8 and all these other like ultra key
So many
issues.
big issues.
I think
So
there was
many.
there was another First Bane. There was another like,
Yep.
oh God, what was that Batman cover that they somehow had 3 of in store today after this one?
Oh, I don't know.
Shit. But I remember talking to Jesse about it, and he's like, "Yeah, we've got 2 of those, and we just got a third in this massive collection." I'm like,
Wild.
"Okay, good luck."
Wild.
But no, wasn't able to make it down for any of them. I'd assume somebody grabbed that 252. If not, it's going to be in my house. But
as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath there. But if you have a chance, I think they dropped like 5,000 new comics and like 1,000 new vinyl. For this edition. I think they call it the biggest expansion in the store's history.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go flip through some long bins and flip through some vinyl, then now is your time.
And Funky Town is your place. So check them out.
What better place than here? What better time than now? I've heard that
right.
before.
Exactly. Another shout out that on August 10th, I will be selling comics at a little event called Trek Wars, a nerdy burlesque show featuring performances by burlesque performers dressed as Star Trek and Star Wars characters. I am very excited about this show. I had a blast last year. I will be there along with our sponsors at Funky Town Comics. I'll be selling my comics, signing them and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to have some new pins available as well. Nice. So check that out. Get your tickets now at the Palace Theater in Syracuse, New York for Trek Wars on August 10th. And Steve, you know where I was today?
Where were you today, Mike?
I was up in Clayton, New York today.
Really? What were you doing up in Clayton, New York?
Well, near Clayton, New York, I should say. Our neighbors have a camp on an island up on the St. Lawrence River.
Nice.
And
wait, what island?
A bunch of the
Carlton?
Grinnell.
Oh, Grinnell. Okay.
Grinnell Island.
My buddy's got a place on Carlton. That's why I was wondering. Like, do they?
Oh, nice.
Do they know people? Do they know each other?
Are we the same person that we're talking about?
I mean, Jesse thought we were for a while.
That's true. They invited a bunch of the neighbors up for the day today, and we went up and had a great time. And I was just thinking, I'm going to be up here in a couple weeks for AnchorCon with Steve Haller. That's right. Steve and I will be appearing at AnchorCon in Clayton, New York, August 17th and 18th. I'll be hosting a panel, doing a live episode of the show for that panel. And again, I'll be signing comic books. Steve will be doing podcasting, questionnaire stuff. Stop by, say hello if you are in the North Country. Would love to see you.
Absolutely.
And with that, we dive into the very tiny bit of news we have today. Why is it so tiny? Because of the aforementioned San Diego Comic-Con coming up this week. A lot of people are saving the big drops of news for that show, of course.
Yeah, makes sense.
Announce big stuff and then not have anything to do over the weekend. We are getting some info trickling in on certain plans, and we know that DC is doing a big comics presentation as well as the Warner Brothers panel, I believe, as well. No real information on what they're going to show, but we know that there's going to be a specific... Marvel's doing a couple panels. I believe it's Thursday night. There's a specific Deadpool and Wolverine panel where Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy are going to be there for that panel, and that's going to be the weekend that Deadpool and Wolverine comes out. So that'll probably be a big panel. We got a final
I picked
trailer
a hell of a weekend to leave the country, by the way.
Yeah, you really did. I'm not going to be around to see it this weekend either. I'm going to be at my brother-in-law's lake house. So I will also not be able to see Deadpool and Wolverine this weekend, which is a bummer.
Oh, drag him out to Auburn.
We'll see it. Yeah, maybe I'll just go. Who knows? So we will see. So that's one Marvel panel. The other regular, the big Hall H Marvel panel that we've come to suspect, I believe, will be Saturday night. And Steve, you and I recently on this podcast spoke about what we believe Marvel will be presenting to us at San Diego Comic-Con, knowing all of the delays and the restarts and the pushes that they've had to do over the last few years. You and I basically said something along the lines of, we believe They aren't going to announce 1,000 new things, and they're just
Yeah.
going to focus on the things that they have in production, or the things that they have coming out. We're going to get trailers for. We're going to get stuff from Captain America 4. We're going to get Thunderbolt stuff. We're going to get what's that other one that I'm not thinking of?
That's all I was thinking of. Fantastic Four?
Maybe Fantastic Four. I don't know. We're talking like directors maybe announced, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And you know what, Steve? Guess what? Guess what, Steve?
Huh.
We were right.
Mm-hmm.
We were 100% right. We got a quote from Kevin Feige himself, chairman of the MCU. I don't know if that's his real title, but
It should be.
it should be. Kevin Feige was asked about what the plans are for San Diego Comic-Con, and he said the following. He said, "We build movie schedules oftentimes." Duh, we all know. And obviously, with the pandemic and the strike, that threw a wrench into it for a few years. But what we're able to do this time is to get back to literally designing our film schedules around what we would have ready to show at Comic-Con, to announce and then set expectations for the tonality of what's to come over the next couple of years. And that starts in Hall H. I think Hall H has become such an iconic venue that people who've never been to Comic-Con know what Hall H is, or know that Hall H stands for unveiling of important, fun, pop culture moments. So, Steve, this is what you and I talked about. I think it was last week, maybe, on this show. We talked about what they have to do is set a new tone. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago, but they need to like set a tone of consistency. They have to remind us that they know what they're doing, and they have to show stability, kind of, by letting us know, like, we have these things, they're coming out, they're not going to get pushed anymore, they're not going to get delayed, and most importantly, they are going to be good. You might be getting less from us over the next few years, but the stuff that we bring you is going to be good, and we need like a reassurance from Marvel. It's what you and I talked about, and that is what I think he is saying here. He literally says, like, to set expectations and the tonality of what's to come over the next few years. Like, that's literally what they need to do. And I'm glad that, we called it, but I'm glad that that's what they're doing, because it's been so up and down, such a roller coaster over the last few years, really ever since Endgame. It's been some highs and a lot of lows and some bunch of meh in the middle. And with no real through line for everything, no thrust of a plot forward of anything. So that seems like what they're doing. Do you agree that this seems kind of like in line with what you and I talked about?
Yeah, I mean, well, yes and no, because I don't know if you saw the other piece of information that came out regarding this. Kevin Feige, this is via comicbook.com. Kevin Feige, during a press conference, stated, and I quote, "The after Deadpool and Wolverine is clearly, now that we have characters from the X-Men world, the mutants. We haven't had access before. So this is the beginning of that, and every movie post Deadpool and Wolverine will be the mutant era coming into the MCU."
Oh, I did not hear that quote.
Yeah.
The mutant era.
So while this does play well with what we thought, there may be a through line that we see that next weekend that could change some things. I think it'll be touting a lot of what they have, readdressing what they had, kind of as we were saying, but also maybe being able to tout something new without like globally announcing, like, the next X-Men movie is this date, or something along those lines.
Right. They could announce. I mean, I could see them announcing like one new project that we don't know about.
Yeah.
But what you and I were saying originally, and what I still believe, is I don't, especially after this quote, I don't think they're going to announce like 6 new things. They're not going to put up a big calendar of stuff and like, here's these next 6 to 12 things that we're going to do.
Right. They might announce something.
Known for doing.
Yeah, they might announce something like the next phase is the mutant era, or the next era is the mutant era, or we're moving into that, but
or
not give the specifics.
We are in development of an X-Men movie. Here's a logo.
Right.
Here's the director. Maybe.
Yeah, if that.
If that. So we will see. But it definitely sounds like they're on the same page, and they know that they have to reset expectations. They have to, like I said, like, show us some stability
Mhm.
and show us some forethought and make us feel like we're in good hands moving forward. So, a couple people who I think might show up at San Diego Comic-Con if the Hollywood Reporter got it right this week. It's Joe and Anthony Russo,
Mhm.
the Russo brothers, who, according to the Hollywood Reporter, are in early talks to direct Avengers 5 and 6 for Marvel in the MCU. Now, Hollywood Reporter says these talks are in early stages. There's zero details about anything. No confirmation from Marvel, no confirmation from the Russos. You may remember the Russo brothers as having directed Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Captain America, Civil War, Avengers, Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame.
It's a solid track record.
Solid track record. So, if Marvel is in a place where they need to set expectations and make sure that their fans feel like they know what they're doing and know where they're going and feel like their fans are in good hands, then I can see this move making a lot of sense for them. Personally, how do you feel about bringing back the Russo brothers, Steve?
Anyone who's on video probably saw my face, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I very much don't think it's the lightning in the bottle that they think it is.
Yeah.
I think there was something the Russos and my buddy John articulated this very well the other day when he said that there's something very specific about how the Russos understood Captain America and how that tied into being the cornerstone of everything they were able to build, including Civil War and Endgame and Infinity War Endgame. That them just taking a new group of characters and having to work with them may not hit the same way, and that it may not be the immediate, slam dunk hit that everyone thinks it will be just because the Russos are attached to it and it's a comic book movie. There's a lot of other pieces moving with this kind of quote, I guess you can only describe it as messy new phase.
Yeah. I am not inherently excited about this because for a couple different reasons. One, I'm fine moving on to the Russo brothers established a look and a tone with the Captain America movies that translated then into the Avengers movies, which kind of bled into the rest of the MCU. I'm fine if we move away from that look and feel and tone, or if we just switch it up a little bit. Fine, I would have liked to switch it up a little bit. And kind of like what you said, I think they worked so well because not only were all those 4 movies directed by the same 2 people, they were also written by the same 2 people. And that's Marcus and McFeely. I don't remember their first names.
It's always just Marcus and McFeely.
Yeah. So, one, if you tell me that they're getting Marcus and McFeely back to write Avengers 5 and 6 and renew that full collaboration with the Russo brothers, I feel better about it. Like, I feel better about what your concern was. Having a bunch of characters just dropped in their laps, because kind of what you were saying, I think that Infinity War and Endgame came out so well because these 2 guys were involved in the world for years, and helped shape it leading up to those moments. And kind of like we were saying, they just get a bunch of characters and plot lines dropped in their lap and like they have to figure it out. It may not feel as cohesive as it did. However, like maybe Avengers 5 might feel a little bumpy, but then probably they would be able to set up Avengers 6 pretty well, I think. So who knows? I don't remember. I think they still have writers for Avengers 5 and 6, right? They haven't, I think they reassigned it after they renamed it, but I don't remember who it was anymore.
On again, off again, on again, off again.
Yeah, it was Jeff Loveness for a while, but I think he's off of it. I don't remember. But you're gonna bring back Marcus and McFeely, then I feel stronger about it.
Well, and
because
they've almost exclusively worked with the Russos in recent history, so like they kind of went dark
even after Marvel.
Yeah, I don't think they did much after Marvel, did they? Like after Infinity War and Endgame, I don't think they did a whole lot.
The writers or the directors?
Marcus McFeely.
Who are we talking? Yeah, I don't know. The
Let
Russos went to
me
Netflix
see
and made a
then.
bunch of movies that nobody really cares about or saw,
Right.
from what I know.
My
project
brain,
that the
my brain says that
Sorry,
they
go
haven't
ahead.
done a whole hell of a lot since.
I mean, I haven't been paying attention.
And Wikipedia concurs. So since
Hmm.
Avengers Endgame, they've done The Gray Man for
Oh, that's a Russo
Netflix,
brothers.
which was a Russo's movie, and The
Yep.
Electric Slate, which is another Russo movie. So
Wow,
if they're
all right.
bringing back the Russos, then I'd assume they're bringing back Marcus and McFeely.
Maybe that happens.
Like,
Maybe that happens.
Since 2014, they haven't worked with anybody else.
The other reason that I'm not inherently excited about this is that from what I've heard, all the stuff that they've done for Netflix since they left the MCU has been not very well reviewed. I've heard it's been really bad or just forgettable, kind of like action stuff. So
yeah, I mean, The Gray
maybe
Man
they're-
was those four with Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans.
Yeah.
And didn't make a splash.
Nope. Not much on Netflix does nowadays, though. I gotta
No.
say.
And Anna de Armas as the female lead. Like, there's
Oh, that's right.
it's a
Yeah,
whole
she's
lot
in
of
there.
star power for being a 6.5 out of 10 movie.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I if this is true, and I believe it is, although I feel like they will likely want to bring them out at Comic-Con to officially announce them. Say,
Yeah.
here are your directors for Avengers 5 and 6.
Yeah.
To thunderous applause. I'm sure they'll bring the house down.
I don't know. See, that's always the thing. Is like we're back to where we always end up. Like,
yeah,
I will be excited if they make a good movie.
Right. Yes.
At this point, it doesn't like. Do I have a minor hope because they have done well in the past? Yes. Am I gonna hang my hat on it? Nope.
Right, because it's also that like we're definitely more down on Marvel now than we were in the lead up to Endgame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like it's hard to get excited because we've gotten burned so many times in the recent past from movies that we thought were going to be great and turned out to be mediocre to forgettable to bad. With the exception of, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yeah.
And for some people, No Way Home. People love that movie, but it's not my cup of tea.
Well, I think I
it
think
would be
both of
easier
us
to
have fouled on that as time. Like, you weren't amazingly
I
keen
wasn't-
on it to begin with, but you
Yeah.
weren't like, okay, this is an actively not great movie.
Mhm.
And I think as time has gone on, I think we've been more and more soured on it. Of like, that was just a bunch of member berries.
Yeah, I started low and got lower. You
Yeah.
started pretty high and have gotten low. Yeah. I was just it would be easier to be excited about this had the MCU still been like firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Since the departure of the Russo brothers.
Yeah.
But here we are. A piece of casting information for a project that I'm less excited about than Avengers 5 and 6. The wonderfully named Spider Noir show we talked about extensively, I believe was the last episode. Actress Lee Jung Lee has joined the cast of Spider Noir. According to Deadline, she has been cast as an unidentified nightclub singer. Will be
cool,
singing her way through 1930s New York. Steve, is there any Marvel or Spider adjacent character that could possibly double as a nightclub singer?
Not that I'm remembering off the top of my head.
I couldn't think of one either. Like the only musician in the Marvel universe I can think of is Dazzler, and I don't think they're going to shove Dazzler into a Spider-Man adjacent show because there's no real connection there between those characters.
Yeah, it might just be as a nightclub singer.
Might just be for sure. Might be nothing, but just still working on that Spider Noir show that everyone is excited about. Right, Steve?
Absolutely. I'm just banging down the doors for it.
Yep. And that's all the news we have to talk about. Made it through. Steve, do you have a comic to review this week? You probably don't.
I don't. The only comic
also
I
don't.
read was Phoenix from the new X-Men.
Oh, Phoenix 1?
Yeah. So a beauty of a
And
comic.
that is a gorgeous cover.
Yeah,
How was it?
the art on the interior is also quite nice.
Yeah.
I very much enjoyed it. It seemed like over the years they've had a lot of trouble. Jean Grey has often been a very, very tough character for people to write.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, like she's always portrayed as the strong female lead, but there's never any real depth to whatever she's been
Yeah.
doing.
Right.
It's like people write her trying to write a strong female lead without understanding what goes into writing a strong female lead.
Right. Without like giving her just making it's like they haven't figured out a way to do that and also make her relatable.
Right.
I think,
She's
to,
never
like, an
confident
actual human
or
being.
like or actually in control. Like she was always the most powerful being because someone like a space force possessed her.
Right. Yeah.
Which is
She
part
can't
of
control it.
part of what this story is going into, where she's actually controlling the Phoenix Force. And not in the way of
Finally.
like she was at the beginning of when she was infected.
The first time. Yeah.
Right, of like where it just kept getting worse. Like this is her consciously controlling the Phoenix Force. And it's like, okay, this is different. It's a fresh take on an old trope. There's a Richard Rider appearance as Nova in the Nova Corps.
Oh, cool.
She's off in space and God knows what. Well, I mean, with the Nova Corps. So I don't think I ever mentioned it was written by Stephanie Phillips and art by Alessandro Miracolo. Real solid. Would
Great.
definitely. So right now, of the 2 relaunch X titles, we're 2 for 2. I think
It's just been this and X-Men #1, right?
Right. And like, I think I told you, X-Men #1 was very different. That was strictly Nate Gray. That was its own animal. Whatever.
Yeah.
Go watch Legion. It's phenomenal. Doesn't have anything to do with Nate Gray. I don't know why I said that, but just generic plug for
Legion.
Legion.
I was gonna say, like, is there a scene in Legion that I don't remember?
No. It was just a Nate Gray and David Haller brain fart. But yeah, they're 2 for 2 already. We've got Nyx coming out this week, NYX, which fun fact was the original debut of Laura Kinney, who
That's right.
has made a couple appearances this week. So I don't know if you'd heard or seen anything about that.
I have heard. Yeah.
Yeah. So that made me more excited, especially after watching The Acolyte.
Yeah, that's right. She's
But
having a good year.
Oh yeah. And I think I was talking to this. My co-host on my Syracuse Sports podcast. We were talking about how Daphne Keane has turned into an actual actor.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, oh shit, she's good.
Yeah, she's great.
It's not just like kid they got to play Laura Kinney.
Yeah.
She's like a legit like lead capable actor. You're like, oh, okay.
Right.
And she's also like 20. Because we met her when she was so young that when she was in Logan, she was young as all get out. So you're like, oh, wait, she's been around that long and she's still 20.
She still looks super young in The Acolyte. I mean, she's under a bunch of makeup, but so it's harder to tell.
Horns
I guess,
and such.
She still looked very young. Yeah. And she did like 3 seasons of that His Dark Materials show too. She was the lead of that show. So certainly got enough
with Lin-Manuel Miranda and
yeah. Yep, I watched the first season and I
same.
dropped off. I think my wife kept up with it, but
it was one of those where I'm like, this is fine.
Yeah, I am up to on my X-Men rewatch.
Oh yeah,
which now I have more time to do since I can't go see Deadpool and Wolverine this weekend. But I'm almost done. I'm up to Logan.
Okay.
I don't remember the last time I gave it up. I think the last time I talked about it was when I watched First Class or the Wolverine.
Might have been post the Wolverine. Yeah, when you realized it was a good movie.
Yeah, except the third act is
right. It's a
great,
comic book movie. It's a third act in a comic book movie.
Yeah, first 2 are so good though.
Yeah.
But so I've watched Days of Future Past and Apocalypse and Deadpool, and Logan's up next, and then Deadpool 2. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Deadpool 2, and then all I have
New-
after Deadpool 2 is New Mutants and Dark Phoenix.
And I will go down saying New Mutants is not nearly as bad as people say it is.
Yeah, no, I remember liking New Mutants. I'm looking forward to revisiting New Mutants.
The problem
I'm not looking forward to watching Dark Phoenix.
No, do not. That was
I'm
an X-Men fan, and I barely made it through that.
Yeah. I know.
But New Mutants, like, I feel like the issue with that wasn't so much the movie itself. It was the characterization of, I think it got panned by comic book people because of the characterization of some of the mutants that they knew that didn't like hold up to what they knew.
Right.
Overall, I thought it was fine. Like,
yeah,
wasn't amazing, wasn't anything to write home about, but it was fine.
See if it rises in my ranking at all. You know what? This is like I made this observation years ago when just thinking about the X-Men movies, and now I'm kind of confirming it as I'm rewatching them. But something that bugs me about the X-Men Fox franchise, which I hope the MCU fixes, is that, and it's not like it has to be, I don't know. This is probably just me nitpicking. Every X-Men movie, every one of them, is either an origin story or there's some kind of situation where the existing team is split up in some way and they have to like work to like get back together somehow.
Yeah.
Like everyone, there's never a movie where it's just like the team you saw in the previous one going off to fight a new threat together as a team. Like that never happens in any of the sequels. And it
when does
me crazy.
it although to be fair, when does it happen in books?
Well, that's the thing. That's why I said like, well, maybe it doesn't have to do that, but it just seems like such like I remember the first time I thought that was when I saw Avengers Age of Ultron. And that opening scene I just loved so much. I was like, this is great. This is the same Avengers team that I saw, and they're just doing their job.
Yep, they're
working
back
together in the field. They're back, and they're on a mission. Like that's all I need.
Yeah,
I just need like one scene of that happening, but you don't even get that in any X-Men sequel. Just wild to me. But,
no, yeah. So that's kind of crazy.
I mean, the exception might be Dark Phoenix. I think that is the exception because because the beginning of that movie is them in space and you see Jean get infected with the Phoenix thing.
Oh yeah, because you see them as like the
away
team.
Yeah. If that's the team from the end of Apocalypse. So like if that opening scene counts, then maybe that's the only exception to the rule. But as soon as after that scene happens, Jean gets split off from the rest of the team, and the rest of the movie is them trying to go save her, so it becomes that same thing. But anyway,
yeah.
Wow. You know what else is crazy and makes me mad about Dark Phoenix? In Apocalypse,
I was waiting because I'm sure there's like 12 things we can name right here.
They show her having the Phoenix Force in Apocalypse. At the end of that movie, she explodes in fire in order to burn Apocalypse and disintegrate him. And then in Dark Phoenix, they act like she just getting it for the first time and no one's ever seen anything like that before. Like, didn't you all just see her obliterate the villain from the last movie? Why are you not referencing this at all? What kind of terrible continuity wouldn't even reference that? It doesn't make any sense.
It all makes sense. So Brian brought up a good point. You have to do a Dark Phoenix versus Madam Web shitty off.
I don't know, because here's the thing about Madam Web. Madam Web made me laugh out loud several times, right? And the more I think back on Madam Web, I'm just like, that movie's really bad, but it's kind of like, it's bad enough that you can laugh at it and be like, oh, I can't believe they made a movie this bad. Dark Phoenix just made me angry. When I saw Dark Phoenix, I was like, how did they drop the ball so bad on this movie? They had so much time. They've had so many mistakes to learn from, and here they are repeating them over and over again. This is a waste of time. Madam Web was a waste of time too, but in a way that, ask me this again after this week, after I've watched Dark Phoenix again. But if you put a gun in my head and told me to pick which movie to watch, it might be Madam Web.
Wow. Okay.
Just because I could be like, wow, I can't. I'm laughing at how bad this movie is instead of just seething with anger at how bad this movie is. You know what I mean? Like
That would be where Brian seems to fall. He
Yeah.
mentions that he fell asleep during Dark Phoenix, but just dozed off a little for Madam Web.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah.
So
There's
yeah,
a scene,
we'll see.
Steve. I know that you didn't finish Madam Web. There's a scene at the end where she is driving an SUV, I believe, full of the 3 girls, or someone else is in the car with her. She's trying to get. Oh no, she's trying to save them from like the Ezekiel Sims Spider-Man, not Spider-Man villain guy. Somehow she's driving at high speeds. I don't remember how she does this, but somehow she ends up driving in a building that's facing Times Square somehow and drives the car out of the building into Times Square in an insane, like, exploding out of the side of the building and like lands on the guy. Like, there's no way that she knew that he was there at all.
Huh.
But it's just so insane. It's like, how did you conceive of this, and how did you think that we could believe that this was possible? I don't know. It's just it's wild. But
yeah.
like, that part made me laugh out loud when that happened. I was
Aye.
like, just who thought of this? On paper, maybe on paper, it's like a cool idea, but then you're like, wait a second, how did she get the car up 4 stories so that this could happen? That doesn't make any sense that she would be in the building.
Sense
Anyway.
is something you don't really need to worry about when you're watching a movie like that.
That's true. Madam Web don't care about no sense. That's for sure. Anyway, now that we're still talking about comic books, this week in your local comic book store, you will find the following, including Absolute Power Origins #1, the big DC event. Moving on. Annihilation 2099 #4. Batman Dark Age #4, a book that I forgot about, but I love, so I'll be picking that up for sure. Brave and the Bold #15. Captain America #11. Conan the Barbarian #13. Deadpool and Wolverine World War III #3. It's almost like they're promoting some kind of project that's coming out.
Weird. That
Weird.
never happens.
Detective Comics #1087. Dick Tracy #3. Feral #5. Flash #11. Flash Gordon #1. Green Arrow #14. Harley Quinn 42. Hello Darkness #1. Steve, sometimes I put titles on this list that I don't know what they are, just because they're insane titles. But if I walk into Funky Town Comics on Wednesday and I see this comic, there's no way I'm not picking it up. Not necessarily to buy it, but I am flipping through this bad boy.
I did not see this title. Like, I didn't scroll
didn't
down
think you
through.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
Multiverse Report listeners, you check out your local comic book store this Wednesday and you see if they have a copy of the first issue. You're getting in on the ground floor. First issue of Man, Goat, and Bunny Man, Beware the Pig Man. #1. Man, Goat, and Bunny Man, Beware the Pig Man.
Yeah.
Nice house.
You are right.
Yeah.
You have to thumb through that. There's no 2 ways about that.
No 2 ways about that. Nice House by the Sea #1. NYX #1. Power Girl #11. Something Killing the Children #39. Spawn Kills Every Spawn #1. Star Wars Darth Vader #48. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. New series launch for the Turtles. Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives #4, which makes me realize I missed #3 somehow. Huge bummer. Vampirella #670. Wolverine #88. And Zatanna Bring Down the House #2.
So that's going to be good. The Wolverine 88 is a facsimile of the.
Oh, is it? I didn't notice.
So
that.
the Wolverine 87 run, 88 issue 88 from the Wolverine 1987, like his first solo ongoing, is the cover I actually just sent in to get graded with Deadpool and his katanas holding up Wolverine dead.
Oh, cool.
So they're reissuing it heading into the movie, which is it's an iconic cover. It's really.
Nice.
I would point to it
Usually
up there, but it's not there because it's at CGC right now.
Sure. Usually I leave off the facsimiles. I must not have noted.
That was one, like you said, they're trying to promote it.
Sure.
What are you looking at this week? Because we got the week of Tinian, we got like new Turtles. That's Jason Aaron. We've got Man Boat,
That's the Aaron stuff.
Man Boat and Gunny Man. That'd be a different. It'd be a very different one.
The sequel. I mean, I'm definitely getting Batman Dark Age #4. I'm definitely looking at Zatanna, Bring Down the House #2.
That was such a good book.
It was so good. It was so good. I can't wait to read the second one.
First Zatanna I've ever read, and it was that good.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're on board with Zatanna. And I gotta say, I also hope that James Gunn is on board with Zatanna because she is long overdue for a big deal adaptation, I think. I'm gonna see if Funky Town has any copies of Creature from the Black Lagoon #3 because I missed #3 and I really liked #1 and 2. And I think there's only 4 issues.
Yeah, this is the
the last one.
Yep.
So I
think I
would
3. Now that you say that, I wonder if it's the same. Like,
I never officially put it on my poll. I just must have missed it. But I also don't remember like reading on this podcast that it was coming out. So maybe I just there too. I don't know.
I know. I got one
so
and
that's
two
what
somewhere.
I'm getting. What about you? Are you getting NYX #1?
Yeah, I'm definitely. I think I said before, I'm definitely getting at least the #1s for the new X stuff. But after that, we'll see what grabs me.
I'm definitely getting the Simone Uncanny.
Oh yeah,
when that comes out, for sure. That next month or is that September?
That is August.
I think so. Yeah.
Flash Gordon #1 really intrigues me. Like I'm gonna have to also.
I'll check that out. I'll take a look.
I'll have to thumb through that one. Just from, I don't know. There's something about that pulpy camp, like Flash Gordon-y. Okay, why not? Yeah, I don't know. The Turtles are leading the week for me though.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Like Jason Aaron on the Turtles just seems like fun. It is like Tinian's got a week between Nice House by the Sea and Something's Killing the Children. Yeah. At first I was like, Nice House by the Sea. Wow, that's really close to Nice House on the Lake. And then
me too. I did the same thing.
I Googled it like a couple days ago and I was like, oh yeah, that makes much more sense.
Yeah.
That it is him.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
So yeah, good comics week seems.
Yeah, I believe so. Plus I'll get to look at the whatever's left over from the big Funky Town drop over this weekend because I didn't get down there. So
absolutely,
if there's anything left that sparks my interest that I can afford. Isn't $1,000 first appearance of Spider-Man.
Yep.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have a credit down at Funky Town, so that's my.
I believe I do as well. Yeah.
That's my my limit for spending is like in and around where the credit lies.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Can we grab something right around there? Because then I'll bring it home.
Right. Cool. Yeah. Well, light week. There's no more news, but you and I can talk about the season finale of The Acolyte if you would like.
Yeah.
And we can. Anyone who doesn't want to hear us do that can sign off.
Yeah. And if you're signing off, don't do it right now. Do it after we tell you about all the happy, fun things you can do to help support us, including liking and subscribing on whatever platform you're listening to this. Platform, not flatform. Very different.
Platform.
Yeah, like, subscribe, leave a review, comment like Mr. Brian Rollins is doing in our chat. Feel free to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That helps out the algorithm quite a bit. If you do that and it's food, we'll read it and eat it. Read it and eat it. That's our new tagline. And also, we have a fancy new Patreon, patreon.com/the Multiverse Report, in which you can get such wonderful things as listening to us talk about more things, or having a hand in what we talk about on the podcast, or, maybe a guest spot. I can't remember if I put that in or not, but hell, there's probably enough money you can give us that would cause us to reassess whatever we put on there. So
that's right.
Check it out, patreon.com/the Multiverse Report. Catch us wherever you can find us and buy Mike's comics. And if you have no interest in The Acolyte, feel free to drop off now before you hear the friendly neighborhood spoiler alert for any and all things Star Wars that have been released until or prior to 7/21/2024.
Yes, between 1977 and right now. We may spoil all of those Star Wars things, but specifically, The Acolyte, a show that is now available in its entirety to stream on Disney Plus, and we're going to start talking about the finale, last episode, spoilers and all, right now. So, I thought this was a great finale.
Yeah, I thought they landed the plane. I thought,
Yeah.
I guess when I look at this series as a whole, there were some warts. There were some things that didn't 100% make sense. There was some various things where I get people complaining about it. But I also feel like as a whole and as a single piece of content, this gave me a lot of things that I really, really liked and was probably in the top third of like modern Star Wars things that have been put out.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I didn't really bump up against much. I know you have and other people have had, legitimate concerns. Not concerns, but like, things they didn't like about it or whatever.
Right.
But I really didn't. Nothing really hit me that bugged me enough to, make a stink about it or make a noise about it. And I really liked the way it wrapped up. We weren't completely correct. We predicted that at least 2 people were going to die.
Right.
But there's only one big death. And it was Jedi Master Saul.
Yeah. Though I did nail
brutally.
I did nail the Chimere being Vernester's Padawan.
Yes.
And that season 2 was going to be her chasing after him. Or at least that seems like what's going to be set up. So
yeah, seems like it's going to be her and May tracking him down.
Right, somehow. Tracking down him and Osha, which
I thought
plot twist.
Yeah, there was a couple things that I felt happened quickly that made me like I had to pause it and talk about with my wife and my son. We're like, wait, why did they do that? What is this happening? And first it was Basil pulling the wires to stop Saul's pursuit of May when they're flying through the rings of that planet of Brandok, which was awesome, by the way. That was a great, cool visual.
Oh, visually, this episode was unreal.
So good. And I kind of realized, I was like, oh, he doesn't really know, he may not know that that's May instead of Osha, or he probably does because he smelled her, but like he saw Saul like stun her. He doesn't know what Saul's intentions are. Like he probably thought Saul was gonna like run her down or kill her or something, and he didn't want that to happen, so he pulled the wires.
Yeah.
So like I can excuse that. But then the other thing was at the end when like they escaped and they got to that tree, May and Osha and Chimere was there.
Yep.
The stranger was there, and suddenly Osha's like, I'll train with you if you let my sister go free. I'll wipe her memory. And, like,
so,
I was like, whoa, wait, what? Why is this happening?
Right.
Where did that come from? You just both got away. Just keep going. The two of you. What is,
And I think that's half of the issues people have had is that there's definitely a lot of things where it's like, wait, but why?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
and there's probably reasons for a lot of that when you look at it holistically or look at it deeper or have I still stand by the fact that if you watch this as a straight through, it's going to hit a lot differently than if we watched it episodically.
And I plan to rewatch it for sure, and I believe it will work better, definitely. But and that one I think makes sense because I think like May didn't want to be with the stranger anymore. May had already left him, and it was probably a thing where the stranger was probably going to kill her.
Yeah.
And Osha made that deal as like a bargain, like let her go, I'll train with you, just let her go. And then the stranger, as an act of mercy, I guess, was like, well, I'll wipe her memory so they can't follow us.
Yeah.
So like that makes sense, but it just happened really quick. And I feel like if there was like one extra line of dialogue from the stranger saying like May, I'm going to kill you, or something better than that, obviously, to set that up. It just happened real fast. We were like, wait, what's happening?
No, I get that.
Yeah. So, great lightsaber fight though
Dude,
in this
yeah.
episode. Great lightsaber fight.
Yeah.
Like and we talked about it last week or whatever, but fight choreography in this show, top notch, absolute top notch. Whoever did that should be on retainer at Lucasfilm.
Right.
Easily.
Whoever they
All the
were,
time.
pay them more money.
Yeah. And I thought it was really cool that they did it's kind of like a tropey thing now when there's something like a duel, and sometimes it's with a gun, sometimes with a sword, most of the times with a sword. Two people are fighting and they just like cross each other and you hear like a shot.
Yeah.
But they stay in that pose, but you don't know who got hit or whatever. And you're like, oh, whose arm is going to fall off or who's going to like fall over or whatever. But they kind of skirted the trope a little bit because it was the lightsaber like that he cut, that Saul cut the stranger's saber instead of him, or I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I like that. And I really got excited when she was bleeding the crystal. Because I knew that that's what was happening. And my wife's like, wait, what's she doing? What are they showing? I was like, is she breaking it? I go, no, she's bleeding it. She's like, what's that mean? I go,
Just watch.
Just keep watching.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's going to happen. And then the way that it started blue and then turned red.
Yeah.
Oh, that was awesome.
That was
awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that was great.
Because it was like, analogy of her arc in the show,
Yeah.
Started blue and turned red. It was great.
Side note here. When we were talking about that Lucasfilm needed to retain these stunt people.
Yeah.
From StarWars.com, several members of the stunt team behind the Acolytes Kung Fu inspired fight sequences got their start working together to choreograph the moves of another famous Darksider. Darth Vader.
Oh, Vader, really?
Rogue One.
Oh, wow.
So Mark Ginther and Chris Cohen and choreographer Guillermo Grispo were the three that were kind of the instrumental pieces of the choreography and fight direction, and they all worked on the hallway massacre at the end of Rogue One.
Wow. Okay. So they know their shit then.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes me excited too, because I feel like a lot of the fighting in this show was kind of like martial artsy, which I liked a lot.
Right. Which also fits for that era of the Jedi.
Yes. But it doesn't necessarily fit for like a character like Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker or whatever, but that they already did the Vader thing, which felt like Vader to me.
Right. Well,
they're not just like a one-trick pony. Like they know different people fight different ways, and like we can lean into martial arts in this series, but we're gonna lean away from it and other things. So, yeah, full send support for that crew.
God, this quote is great. Guillermo was adamant, as we all were, that we couldn't do things with Vader that hadn't been done or hadn't been really seen before. You couldn't fight like he was in the prequels. We still wanted to keep Vader's heavy swings, his anger, his aggression, and really show it the coolest way possible, which I'm pretty sure they did. Like,
very much agree.
There are a few things every time I see that hallway scene, I could watch that damn thing like 100 times. Well, I've probably seen it 100 times, but like you could watch that, and every time I see it, I'm like, that is Darth Vader. Like,
yeah,
we never had it before Rogue One was put out, but that's what I always imagined the guy we met in 1977 was.
Yep.
And they were able to put it on the screen.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the Mun in the room?
In a second.
Okay.
In a second, just because we're talking about like the fighting scenes and the.
Okay, I didn't know if you had more in that vein.
Just Saul's death, real quick. One of the most brutal deaths in Star Wars,
which this show had a lot of. Like, there's more dead Jedi in this show than anything ever.
I think this show has the two most brutal deaths in Star Wars, and one of them is Yor getting his neck snapped.
Oh, that was
because it's scarier to watch a magical space wizard get their neck snapped than it is to watch a magical space wizard die via magical space swords and other things that don't exist. Right?
Right.
And Stahl getting force choked to death by his former Padawan, who he loves, who he saved the life of.
Yeah.
And you just watch it happen the whole time. Like they cut away to her face and they cut away to the saber, but you watch him suffocate and fall over and die.
Yeah.
In a way that I found to be brutal, and I'm sure traumatized my son that was watching it with us. Although he didn't like react to it. He was just like, what's happening? She's choking him. He's dying. You know?
Well, it's not great, buddy. Not great.
I just felt like that was like, because we've seen people die of force choking before, but it's almost always, it's never that long. And it's sometimes it's either not that long or it's played for comedy, you know, like that scene in Empire where the guy's choking behind the new Admiral Piet or whatever that's getting promotion in real time as his, you know, predecessor is gasping for air behind him and falling over. Like that's played for comedy more than anything else. And this was, I just felt like was brutal.
Yeah.
And
no, it
in
really
a way that
was.
I think fit, like it wasn't out of place, but I was just shocked that, you know, for all the shit that people give Disney Star Wars for being whatever they want to give it shit for, like they, you know, they don't pull as many punches as you think they do, people. I mean, come on. They made Rogue One. Everyone dies at the end. And we just watched a Jedi. We just watched arguably the hero of this series get
force
choked to
to
death
Yeah.
in real time. In real time. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Let's go back to the we got 2 cameos in this episode.
Before that, postscript clarification. That is Admiral Ozzel that got choked out.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. Well, no, I was saying like he's talking to Admiral Piet though.
Yeah. Admiral Piet becomes Admiral Piet because he's choking out Ozzel.
Ozzel's getting choked out. Yeah. Yes.
Admiral Piet.
Yeah. That movie's so good. Makes me want to watch it right.
You have failed me for the last time.
So, this had been minorly spoiled for me. I did not know who it was, but I had seen a still from this scene on the unknown planet on the island that the stranger is on with Osha. See a little hand creep around a wall, and then you see a weird, creepy-looking, dark-sidey guy kind of just like peek out and watch them as they're getting into their ship to take off. It has been confirmed by numerous sources that this is Darth Plagueis the Wise. Wow. First time on screen, proper, in canon, Darth Plagueis. Steve, what is he doing there?
I don't know. And I know we're not supposed to know. And I
Does
know...
the stranger know that he's there?
Again, who knows?
I don't know either.
I think I mentioned it last week. That planet is likely Beldemnik, which in the EU is where he kills his master. And that they're like... It seems to be a known nexus of some sort of power. The cortosis ore there is what, you know, gave it away in my brain. But like, I don't know. I think from this shot, I think it got thrown in solely for basically them knowing that all of the neckbeards like myself thinking about this are going to be like, oh, by the way, you have this whole story about this era, and he should be the Sith Lord, and what's going on, and blah, blah, blah. Where are we? When they flash just a picture of, or effectively a picture, like a small, quick scene of Darth Plagueis, and it's like, oh, okay, they are thinking about him. He has some play in this. They're not ignoring him. Okay, we're fine.
Yeah.
Like,
And if it felt like there was a number of things in this episode that were starting threads for a possible season 2. The senator conversation with the
Yes.
senator was definitely one of those things. Plagueis was another one of those things, for sure. And I can imagine that he would be slightly more involved. I don't know how far they want to go with that character, but I imagine he would be slightly more involved if there was a season 2. So, yeah, at first I was like, oh, he's the master, and the stranger is like serving him, and then I was like, wait, we don't know that. And I saw someone else online saying like, no, I don't think he's affiliated with the stranger. I think he's just like searching for dark side power or whatever, and found this guy, and is just there to watch or whatever, or to eventually try to steal his power. Who knows why. And it's very interesting. But what also is very interesting is he there for the stranger, or is he there for OSHA?
Right.
We don't know.
I mean, he is the one that's obsessed with creating life, and
Correct.
they are beings that were effectively created, and whether he had a role in that, or
Yeah.
whether, he's there after finding out that Chimere has this person as a Padawan and as an acolyte. It's gonna be, there's questions over whether they're gonna greenlight a season 2. If they don't, I'm gonna be utterly devastated.
I agree.
There's a lot of questions that they set up that I don't want to say deserve an answer, but deserve an answer.
Yeah. And that's the biggest one, I think, for me right now.
Yeah.
Is I want clarification on whether or not he was involved in the birth of OSHA/May, who we learn is the same person, just split into 2 beings. Wild. There's a little fuzzy explanation on that, I think. But
again, part of the qualms people have with it. But
yeah.
This is Star Wars. Like, the Clone Wars were a one-line note from
throwaway thing.
Yeah. Here we are. It's the best part of Star Wars.
Right. I feel like in the earlier episodes, when everyone was really mad, sorry, not everyone, when prequel fans were really mad that OSHA and May were created via the Force, and they're saying, no, Anakin's the only one that's ever been created by the Force. People were really mad about that, and I wasn't, because in Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine says to Anakin that Darth Plagueis, the Wise, had the ability to create life. And for me, I thought, okay, he has the ability to do it. He knows he has the ability to do it because he's done it. Right?
Yeah.
How else do you know that you can do something unless you have done it? And why would Palpatine go through all the trouble to learn that skill from him if he didn't know that it worked or whatever? So Palpatine learns it from Plagueis, and Palpatine is the one that uses the Force and Shmi Skywalker to create Anakin. But Plagueis didn't create Anakin, but Plagueis had the ability to create life, so there's no reason to assume that Plagueis hadn't done that before. Is OSHA/May part of what Plagueis has created, or is that one of the beings that Plagueis has created via the Force, or
is it something
is he just interested in the fact that they were created via the Force, and he wants to know more about the witch's way of doing it or whatever? I don't know. These are questions, like you said, that I want an answer to in hopefully a season 2 of The Acolyte.
I mean, that would be absolutely wonderful.
It would be absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
The other cameo we got at the very end of the show was a little gray-haired, green-skinned, pointy-eared guy. Just the back of his head.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Valestra walk into a room and say, "Master, we have to talk." The camera pans down. It was Yoda. This blew my son's mind, I gotta say. It was like his face. He just kept going, wow, wow, wow. Wow. Over and over
I
again.
love
It was
of
awesome.
all the things. That's what blew his mind.
Yeah, that's what blew his
Like,
mind. It was like
the
seeing another character that he knows.
the brain of a 7-year-old.
Yeah. But like think about this first time, when
Oh
Marvel
yeah,
movies crossing over and we saw a character that we knew from
yeah.
everything, we're just
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh my god, it's happening.
Yep.
It's like he's never seen that before.
Oh,
So
I
he
mean,
loved it.
the post-credit scene where we see Thor's hammer.
Yeah,
It was
that's all it took.
it was literally the Thor in the Thunderdome there in Ragnarok. I know him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Leonardo DiCaprio meme.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I could have done without that. I didn't need that Yoda thing at the end. Like it was like give me Yoda or not. I didn't need that.
I would have been fine. I feel like that scene needed to be in there. It did not need to be Yoda. I think there needed to be the differentiation and the acknowledgement that Vernestra is telling the Senate one thing and then saying to the Masters, we need to talk.
Yeah.
And in my brain, what I saw was her telling the Senate what she told the Senate, and then to Yoda, she's going to recount what happened.
I hope that's the case because otherwise, that was a part of a issue I had with the ending.
Yep.
If she's not going to tell Yoda the truth, then she's just doing the same thing that Indara and Saul did,
Right.
covering up a wrongdoing with a lie that's eventually going to come back and bite them in the ass.
Mhm.
So I hope that you're right. I hope that that's what she's going to say to good old Yodes. But I just kind of wish, like, I don't know. I kind of wish he would have, like, use him if you're going to use him, or don't bother using him. I don't know. That's just me. That's just me. But I don't know if I have anything else to say about this. I thought it was a great episode. I really love what's his face? I can only think of Jason Mendoza. I can't think of his real name right now.
Oh,
real name?
Manny Jacinto.
Manny Jacinto.
Yes.
I think he's so good in that role.
That was the thing, though. Is like your brain is just like, oh yeah, Jason Mendoza. Like, because that's what you know him as and what he's like was great as.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, him. Oh wait, no, he's got a real name.
Yeah. And he's great as this. He's great as, but it's part of like that his character doesn't really fully have an actual name. Like Kamir is like a fake name. The Stranger is what they're calling him, but there's no like Darth ripped arms or whatever.
Right. Well, and who knows if he even is part of the Bane rule of two? Like we don't know that Plagueis was there, because
as a master.
He might not even know him.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Like he might have just been like feeling out for like dark side energy and found him, that way. Because there's still a debate as to whether or not the Stranger's even a Sith. Because the way he said the Jedi may call me a Sith.
Yep.
And that's like maybe that's them leaving their options open, or maybe they like know exactly what they're doing and they just needed to say it that way to say it that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I really liked this show. I can only imagine that I will like a second viewing.
Yeah.
Now that's all out. I don't know when I'm going to do that. Probably not anytime soon, but within a year, I'll probably rewatch it fully. And I think I said this last week, but it's up there. If you make me rank my live action Disney Plus shows, it's probably in the top 3, to be honest with you. It might be, I don't know. It's been a while since I've revisited Mando, but so far nothing touches Andor for me. Andor's the number one thing. And then it's probably after that, it's either maybe it's Ahsoka, but it might be this, to be honest with you. Mandalorian's good, but Mandalorian season 3 brings down Mandalorian for me because it wasn't quite as good.
No, we're not counting Bad Batch, right?
I was thinking live action stuff
only. Okay.
Yeah. Animation throws a whole monkey wrench in there as far as those ratings go.
Yeah.
And I say Ahsoka because I liked it a lot when I watched it, but I started rewatching it and I only watched like the 2 episodes and I stopped watching it. I didn't go back to it. So
you've got,
I don't know if that's telling.
Of options, you've got Book of Boba Fett,
Yeah, very low.
Obi-Wan,
I like Obi-Wan quite a bit.
Mandalorian,
Very good.
Ahsoka,
Pretty good. Very good. I
Acolyte,
need to read. Very good.
and Andor.
Andor. So yeah, maybe it might be my second favorite
Yeah.
after Andor. Like definitively, because I have to revisit. I guess I have to finish revisiting Ahsoka to really like figure that out.
Yeah, and
But-
like Mandalorian season 2 was, and
Great.
to be fair, I don't think there was a ton wrong with season 3 of the Mandalorian, but it's like where the bar
No.
got set and what was going on, and
And how Book of Boba Fett threw off what they were planning to do with season 3, and
right. There was a whole lot.
Yeah.
I wish that Mandalorian season 3 was just the Mandalorian and not with Grogu. I wish
Yeah,
he'd have
me too.
stayed at Luke's Academy.
Me too.
But-
I think that I've heard that was the original plan.
Just like Obi-Wan, I wish like they trimmed that down to 4 episodes or made it a movie or whatever. Like there was a lot
That
of
would've
good
been
in
a
that.
great movie.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
a very, very large amount of good in that.
Yeah.
And then there was
a
some
little too
fluff.
much.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Oh,
guess
that was
we'll,
another one though. That was another one that I liked a lot more when I was watching it straight through. When I binged that and I like banged it out in 2 nights or something like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Like,
It was
and that I thought it was awesome.
better. Yeah.
For sure.
Then we'll see what Skeleton Crew brings.
Yeah, I saw somebody talking about this online, and it kind of led me down like just a line of thinking, like comparing what people were mad about from the Acolyte, as this person online was like, "Be ready for them to hate Skeleton Crew because it's about kids."
Right.
And they're gonna, and I was like, "Wow, yeah, this person is right." Like it's going to be about kids, and they're going to be all the toxic people that were mad about this show for dumb reasons,
Mhm.
not for thoughtful ones, are going to be mad at because Star Wars should be dark and gritty like The Empire Strikes Back or like Andor, and it's not for shouldn't be for kids. And blah,
About
blah,
the
blah.
literal 2 things they've ever put out that were dark and gritty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the same people that love whatever Attack of the Clones, or the same people that will
Hey, now.
defend Jar Jar Binks as a character. Wild.
I will not have the Attack
Um,
of the Clones hate here.
Ugh, I'll have it all day. gotta
I
know
hold it
that.
slightly better than other prequels, and that's as high as the bar's getting. Is it good? No.
I don't have it on my Letterboxd ranking. I believe the only thing I have lower than Attack of the Clones is the holiday special,
I don't know.
and that's
the holiday
for me.
So the holiday special. All right, put that.
Yeah.
Let's see. In the
kinda
in
like
the
what I was saying
Madam
with
Web
Madam
Dark
Web.
Phoenix holiday
Exactly.
special mold, where are we?
Exactly. I was literally looking at my Letterboxd. One of my favorite things to do on the Letterboxd app is to make lists
Mhm.
and like my own personal rankings of things. It's not like I'm like doing to show everybody. I'm just like, I want to make my own little rankings of these franchises or whatever.
Yeah.
My Star Wars one, I can go in and move them around if I want to or whatever.
Yep.
I was looking at my Star Wars one the other day, and I really almost moved Attack of the Clones below the holiday special. I was like, I'm gonna hold off right for now, just because.
Oh,
Because. But
so
it
you
was
have
for
a
that reason that
full-
we're talking about.
Yeah.
That it was like, I can watch the holiday special and laugh at it and be like, I can't believe they made this. But when I watch Attack of the Clones, I'm just like, this movie's so bad it makes me angry. It's exactly the same thing we were just talking about with Madam Web and Dark Phoenix. Wild. Yeah, so I rank every canon thing that I can Star Wars wise. But like the Clone Wars isn't on there because we were talking about recently series. You can't really, they don't have TV show series on there. They have like 1 season mini series they have on there, but not full seasons of television. So I can't add the Clone Wars television show, but I can add the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars thing.
Right.
Even though that's not technically canon, I put it on there because or there's things where like Andor is not on there because they announced that as a 2-season thing, but there's like a making of Andor special or whatever that you can log in, and I put that as a placeholder for like the actual series of Andor
Right.
or whatever. So that's just my crazy brain. But like, there's no Bad Batch, there's no official Rebels thing or whatever. So I make do with what I can. But the holiday special is on there, and
It's special.
pretty low, very special indeed, but fun. Special but fun for as long as you can handle it.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about the Acolyte for now. Do you have
Yeah.
anything else to say about the Acolyte?
No, I very much like you enjoyed it, and I think we're hopefully looking at a season 2 and go from there.
Fingers crossed.
Absolutely.
Fingers crossed it can rise above all the trolls and get a season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Be great. I see a lot of people on threads hashtagging renew the Acolyte, talking about how they want a season 2. So hopefully that works. And that's all I got. So do all the things that Steve said. If you're still hanging with us, like us and subscribe to us and give us a 5-star rating on all the things. You can drop us a line via email or site, multiversereport.com, and socials, threads, and Instagram, Multiverse Report. Check us out. And until next time, as the 2 suns set on the burnt corpses of Owen and Baru Lars, we say thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the multiverse.